Hello everyone, welcome back to another lesson. While watching these videos, please keep something to write with and your classwork books nearby. This will make it easier for you to take notes, write down interesting thoughts, and therefore have a better lesson. And perhaps, most importantly, although classes have been indefinitely suspended, learning never stops. Let's rock. Okay, welcome back. This is our second video about the Why Soap Works experiment. In this video, we will talk about a record sheet. On this kind of sheet, what we use it for is to keep all the information about our experiment. This will help you to organize your thoughts, your results, your findings, and your conclusion about the experiment. For this record sheet, I will give you an outline and you can follow it if you like, but you can also use your own. So here's what we should have. Test 1. What I predict will happen when I put my finger into the bowl the first time. And below that you have a blank line where you can write what you predict will happen. Oh, wait a minute. Now, first we really need to check one word. Predict. Any idea what it means? Okay. Have a look at these options and try to choose the one that you think best represents the word predict. Option number 1. The act of telling someone what to do and how to behave. Option 2. An activity in which a teacher reads and students write. Option 3. To say what you think will happen in the future. Option 4. An animal that eats other animals. Okay, time's up. The answer is option 3. To say what you think will happen in the future. Therefore, what I predict will happen when I put my finger into the bowl the first time, that means what do you think will happen after you put your finger into the bowl? You can write it down in the line below. After you have done that, then you can perform the experiment, and then the next line is what actually happened. And below that, you should record what happened during test number 1. Below that, you then see you may wish to draw a picture or add a photograph. Therefore, if you had your phone and you took a picture, okay, you can just add it. If you want to draw a picture because you're a little bit artistic or you want something else to do, you can go ahead and do that as well. Then we move on to test 2. What I predict will happen when I put soap on my finger and put it into the bowl. Below this, again, you can write what you predict will happen. I don't know what will happen, but maybe you have some ideas. You can write it down. And then after you have written that down, then you go and perform the test. After you have performed the test, then you get to the next line, what actually happened. And below this, you can write what you saw, what you observed during your experiment. And again, you may wish to draw a picture or add a photograph. Next, why was there a difference in how the pepper behaved when the soap was added? Here, you can try to write why. Why was there a difference between test 1 and test 2? Moving along, think of the surface of the water as the skin on your hands and the pepper as microbes on your hand. Write a sentence to explain what happens when soap meets the microbes on your skin. So below this, you can write exactly that. What happens? And now, why should we use soap when we wash our hands? Here you can write, well, yes, why do you think we should use soap when we wash our hands? What have you learned from this experiment that can help you to answer this question? Right, now let's look at some explanations. In the experiment, the surface of the water represents the skin on our hands. The pepper represents harmful dirt and germs or microbes that need to be washed away to keep us healthy and clean. You don't want to put your dirty hands with dirt and germs, etc., into your mouth, do you? I think you might get sick. Not a good idea, especially in these times with the virus going around. You need to wash your hands, right? And don't put them in your mouth, don't touch your eyes, and so on. In the first test, the pepper shouldn't have moved much. A little may become stuck to your finger, but it will have remained on the surface and represented the germs remaining on a hand. In the second test, the pepper should have moved away from the soapy finger to the edges of the bowl. This shows that soap moves dirt and germs away. This is because soap removes oils from our hands. The natural oils on our hands trap dirt, so we need soap to remove them. Without soap, the oils stay on our hands and the microbes will stay trapped in them. Wow, so I think everyone knows that you should wash your hands with soap, but not everyone knows why. But now we do, so we're smarter, aren't we? Anyway, before we finish this video, let's just recap or review some of the things that we have already learned. So let's recap some of the vocabulary, okay? An experiment. What is an experiment? Option 1, a written test at school, for example, an English test. Option 2, a spoken test at home. For example, if your mother asks you, "Hey, why is your room messy?" Option 3, a scientific test to find something out. Option 4, a spoken test at school. For example, when you need to read something for your teacher. Okay, time's up. The answer is option 3. An experiment is a scientific test to find out what happens to someone or something in particular conditions. Another question is this one. What does harmful mean? Option 1, something that causes injury or damage. Option 2, something good and useful. Option 3, having or containing a lot of something. Option 4, to be a sign or symbol of something. Okay, time's up. The answer is option 1, something that causes injury or damage. That is something that is harmful. Okay, 2 more questions about vocabulary. Represent. What does represent mean? Option 1, to say what you think will happen in the future. Option 2, a gift or present that you receive. Option 3, a scientific test to find something out. Option 4, to be a sign or symbol of something. What does represent mean? Okay, time's up. The answer is option 4. Represent is something that is a sign or symbol of something else. And now, the final vocabulary question. Predict. What does predict mean? Option 1, the act of telling someone what to do and how to behave. Option 2, an activity in which a teacher reads and students write. Option 3, to say what you think will happen in the future. Option 4, an animal that eats other animals. Okay, time's up. The answer is option 3. Predict means to say what you think will happen in the future. For example, I predict it will rain tomorrow. I predict we will have classes again in June. And I predict that your English will be better and better. Ha ha ha. Okay, and that brings us to the end of our that brings us to the end of our Why Soap Works experiment. I hope you learned something. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope it was useful, and I hope you learned something. Remember, we don't have face-to-face classes these days, but learning never stops. Take care and see you next time. Goodbye.